very good. I don't know you, but we will get to know each other throughout the semester. Um, what is important to know is that I talked to Fardad. We had a couple meetings. Um, so because it is very difficult to adapt for a new situation in the middle of the way. So we agreed on doing things that he used to do, same lectures, same lecture material, same topics, and the way he's teaching is actually excellent. So I wish I can be like him. He's a legend. He's very knowledgeable. Uh, he has experience of 20 plus years of teaching. I can never be like him, honestly, but I'll do my best. Um, and in terms of the delivering the course content, I will try to keep this just like as if he's teaching, hopefully. We will do online coding. We will discuss the topics, concepts, how things go. And for the so don't worry. It will not be a whole different world for the second half. It will be. We'll try to be at least 80% the same. I'm not saying 100%. Hopefully, it will be 100%. But I'm saying 80% because, as I said, Fardad is amazing. So uh, I wish I can be like him. Um, so I am I'm an embedded system developer, by the way. So we do a lot of hardware and software on different hardware. And the main tool for if you're not familiar with the world of embedded systems, there's a lot going on these days from uh, Amazon Greengrass platform to all IoT devices, all wearable devices, smart things, all the things that from node to up to the server, the cloud. There is a lot of room for that, and everybody. The main tool basically for that is C and C++. So I think by learning C++, you're doing a great job. Probably the best thing you can do at this moment of your life, your college life. Um, Apart from that, so just a brief introduction about me, which doesn't even matter. Um, and as I said, everything will be similar. So we are Big Blue Button. You'll be able to see the captured video after the every time after our class on the same place you used to go on Big Blue Button after clicking on launch. And also um, I will try. I'm recording locally as well, so that if something goes wrong, which has never happened so far, by the way, but if something goes wrong, I still have the local copy of the video, and I can upload on YouTube. One question that I think you might have is where so previously everything was being pushed to Fardad's Git, all the codes that he was doing during the lectures. This will be the same. I'll show another repo. You just need to go ahead and clone that repo. So everything will be pushed to that repo. I try to categorize different codes into like categorize codes that we write during the class and put them into different categorized folders with meaningful names most of the time so that you can know like which folder to look for what topic. For instance, if today we're talking about derived classes, uh, as we go along and complete the code, you have a before code. So before folder usually defines uh, the the beginning of the lecture and what uh, we want to achieve. So it's the definition of the problem basically. So we define the problem. We define there. I'll show you. We will walk through it step by step. So we have this, we want to create this class with these features, with these functions, these parameters, things like that, and we're supposed to reach to that. And little by little, things will go to different folders, and I will push these folders to that repo. Um, and then uh, we will before I start checking addendum and review a couple things with you. I would like you, if not all of you, maybe just couple of students, if you can unmute and tell me what concerns do you have, and what makes you worry at this stage. Let me know. We all have our own concerns. I mean, the concerns that are related to this course, and specifically related to change of professor, me being replaced for Farda. If there is any concern, please let me know. Uh, we have we have time. We have 5 minutes to get to know each other more, and I really need to know your concerns and worries if there is any. There's no concern. Nice. Not even one. That's good. Um, so everything is like everything will be in terms of quizzes, workshops, and everything will be is actually just like what they were uh, in the first half. Lectures are always about 80% about last week's topic. So for instance, this quiz, as you realized, is about the topics that you learn before the study week. And to motivate you to keep an eye on the things that new topics that we will discuss, 20% might be from new topics as well. But the significant portion of it is related to things that you've learned before this quiz. Um, and for the if you guys really you don't have any comment or any question, comment, concern, worries. Um, for the projects and the workshops are so well documented, I guess, as I was checking, that for me, I think there is no need to overview them. I know Fardad used to have separate sessions outside of the class time for overview of the project and workshops. We will not be doing that because they are really well documented. It's like when you start a project, it's like 10 pages. The like the first 10 pages of a book preface, you get to know everything. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Oh, one important, very important thing. I during like from past experience, I realized that um, setting an official time for office hours didn't work for many students. So this Teams is a great help. Um, for what? this, if you have any questions. Oh, by the way, you're sending on public chat. Uh, Perfect. A question about file IO operation for today quiz. Yes, you do. So, um, um, available for doubts after class. Okay, so we'll talk about this after class. Om says, let's discuss our concerns or doubts after the class. Sure. Manjo is asking, Prof, do we have questions from IO? Yeah, I'm afraid you have a couple IO questions in today's quiz. And hello, Professor. Hello. You can call me Hamid. I'm not a professor, actually. I don't consider myself a professor because I'm still getting my PhD. So, very good. Wonderful. Guys, great. Please unmute yourselves. As I know, Fardad also um, specifically asks you to unmute yourself and ask your questions because as you see I might really miss this part. Yes, going back to what I was saying, we don't have an official office hour, even though I've put Wednesdays because I had to put something up there. But for the questions, when you have a question or something, just post a private message for me or post it on group. If you think other students can help, that's for sure a great idea. Post your question or your concern in the public area of our group, which other students can see, and everybody is encouraged to check the group regularly and answer others' questions if they know the answer. And that way we will interact with other students, which is really good. Otherwise, you can send me a private message. It might take up to 2 business days for me to answer. I try to be quick, so uh, that's 90% of the time. I try to be as quick as possible, but it can take some time depending on my schedule. I might not be able to immediately reply. So give some time for me if you have a question. But other than that, you can send your questions to me privately anytime. Uh, and of course, weekends. I'm always working, by the way. Weekends also available, but yeah, so just give me some time, like 2 days at least, so that I can get back to you. But usually it happens quicker than that. Very good. Um, okay, now we're gonna take a brief look at the addendum and see what we have for the second half of the semester. And Fardad is available. I guess you have seen his email. Fardad is available on July 11th, I guess. I guess 11, I think. We will check now. He's available for your questions, any questions regarding the first half of the semester. So that's another thing. Um, Now, before we go to the addendum, do you have any questions? Any questions? Yes or no? If yes, please ask your question. Okay, very good. All right, let's take a brief look at the addendum, if I can find, hopefully, somewhere, please. Okay, I think it's here. Yep. Let's see what we have. Okay. Also, let me set this. Okay, for the second half of the semester, we have these topics to be covered. The first week, which includes today and our Thursday session, we will talk about derived classes and functions and hierarchy. So, as you know, the one of the pillars of object-oriented programming is inheritance, and inheritance is a class inheriting some stuff from another class. So we call the class that is inheriting something the child class, and the one that is giving all the features to the newborn class, we call it a parent class or a base class. So we will talk about how this happens, how a class can inherit things from a child class can inherit things from a parent class. Also, when this inheritance happens, you can always have new new basically methods or new member functions. These are the same, these two words are the same thing. You can have the same member function that parent had. You can have the exact same member function for the child, and this can introduce some confusion sometime. Okay, now which one is gonna, so they can be different. So I, as son of my father, can have, we both have hands, right? So he has two hands, I have two hands. When somebody says hands, so which hands is that person referring to? Is it the child's hands or the parent's hands? This can introduce some confusion, so we will learn about uh, child member functions shadowing parent member functions, and how to refer to those, stuff like that, this week. Then next week we will talk about virtual functions. So this is the basically the solution to the problem of which hand am I referring to? Is it the child's hand or is it the parent's hand? So with this virtuality, we will see that we will guarantee that every time something is being called, whatever that thing is, the latest child functionalities and basically member functions will be called. Don't worry if you have no idea about any of these things. These are just something to make you prepared. Abstract based classes, these are called interfaces basically. So we have a class that is abstract. It means it's just an idea. It doesn't have any definition for its member functions, but we have put placeholders uh, for these ideas, and later on, when this class's childs are born, uh, those childs will implement basically what was meant for them by their parents. So these parent classes that don't have any definition are called abstract classes, or if it is pure abstract, they're called interfaces, just an idea, abstract ideas. Derived classes with resources, in the first half of the semester, you've seen that um, when you don't know the exact memory size for something that will happen in the future, for instance, a name that will be inputted by a user, you really don't have idea how many characters the name can have. There is no way that we can do it in the basically in the time of programming in the form of allocating a specific memory size in the stack memory. So we have to use heap memory, and that has its own rules, right? You have to be careful when you're allocating memory, you're asking the operating system to allocate memory to you to put your newly inputted variable in it. So you have to know certain rules. We learned those rules in this half of semester. Now we want to know what happens when a, a class that is being derived from another class, and that class has a resource. So what happens to that? 3 weeks from now, we will be talking about this topic. um, Function templates and IO input output refinements. We will see some of those for input output refinements, some of those foolproof things, and for the function template, we will see how we can basically have a as the name shows, have a template for something to be completed later on. Polymorphism, week 12 and week 13 are really um, the the weeks that we will not be discussing too much of new stuff, just kind of overview. And week 14 is our exam. I just to know week 6, just to uh, know week 8. This week we only have quiz. Uh, and I guess workshop 7, workshop 8, and workshop 9 each will be due in the same week. So you should check the due, but they are in the addendum. What is not in the addendum, by the way, is your project milestone 1 to milestone 4. Milestone 1, I think, is due next week. So check that, please. And also make sure to do those parts. Um, okay. Yeah, here. Let's also check. Yeah, here is the project part. Is the project part. Before that, I'm going to copy this. This is the new repository that I will push things to, and I'm just gonna get you the. This is public, so I'm just gonna put the link here so that you can later, or maybe now if you have time, just go ahead and clone it. This would be good actually. We can test if things are being pushed there and you can access them. Uh, this is the address for the new repository. This is public and you just need to clone it for yourself, and you will be able to pull everything that is pushed there during the lectures. Very good, very good, very good, very good. Now let me check public chat. We don't have anything there. What we have here is now. Okay. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Very good. Um, Before we start derived classes, as Fardad also talks about this part, um, we have in your project when you start, you have a utils uh, toolbox basically. So all the codes that are in there are for you to use. This is basically a toolbox that can help you do your stuff better. We want to make some changes to that to make it more object oriented. Um the Okay, let me see if I copy it here. Very good. Okay, I'm gonna create a new project. Create a new project and say, where? Here. Okay, new project and say, uh, call it one utils thingy. Util thingy. Okay, and then let me just take this out here. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put these here. Okay. Very good. So just need to put utils, CPP, and utils edify. Okay, very good. All right. This one. Show sidebar. Okay, very good. So here, what we have is actually a class. Uh, it's not a class yet. So what we have here is a utils, a toolbox. This toolbox is basically it has all the uh, some of the tools that you might need to work with strings and stuff like that. And these things are in a separate um, uh, this is more C style. Separate functions. They don't belong to anything. They're just in your toolbox to be used later. You can use them obviously now in this project. For instance, I have so if you want to use them, you can simply say C style. You can simply include the header file of that toolbox and start using them. How? Now you have to say now in the these are in the STDS namespaces. You know everything we write is in STDS namespace. So you just have to call any of these functions that you want to use from in this STDS namespace and do whatever you want. So here I have an example to lower. Let's just run this, and we want to see how this to lower case works. Okay, so it gets it from here. To lower the result becomes lowercase a. This is fine, but now we want to add more uh, object-oriented functionality to this, so that we can first of all we can use it, we can use it more efficiently, and secondly, we don't really need to add this namespace every time we want to use these things. So we want to change this thing a little bit. To do that, basically, and by the way, we will take a look at more stuff. Uh, every one of these things that we have here, basically, to see what they are doing. To do that, um probably the first idea could be, now if I want this thing to be more object oriented, by the way, let me close this one and open header again and make it sidewise. Okay, now it's much better. If I want to do this, first in the header file, uh, what I can do is, now if I want to make this a unified class that has member functions, so that I can use them in the object oriented manner just by instantiating an object and using these member functions. So what I'm doing is defining a class utils here, class, whatever name you can give to this. Okay, and now uh, because I want these tools to be accessible for everyone, I'm putting them in public, and then putting these things, uh, putting these functions basically there uh, uh, for them to be basically to become a member function instead of a separate standalone C-type function there. And now I have to go to the CPP. Now that this toolover became a member function of utils, now I have to go to utils and actually make this toolover uh, a member function of utils. So I just wanna add this utils there as the scope resolution, and tell this, okay, now toolover now is a member function, not a helper function or anything like that. And by doing this, basically for all of these, or maybe just let's try this one, we will have a class that we can use in a better way. So now that this is in utils class, if here I come and define a utils object, ut for instance, and here just get rid of that and say ut to over. This should do the work, right? Let's see. This basically did the same job for me, right? And it's much easier. Uh, One more thing we can do to make it even better is that uh, when you are giving a toolbox to somebody, you cannot ask them to like uh, first before using this, uh, you have to like drink this tea first, or drink this something, and then the toolbox will be opened. No, you cannot do that. The user just wants to use it without knowing anything. And here, if you ask them to first define an object of type utils and then use that, that might not be proper. So to solve this problem, what can we do? Let's take a poll. Now, the question is somebody unmute and answer, otherwise somebody will be randomly selected. Now this worked perfectly fine. Now I'm repeating my question again. This worked perfectly fine. We were able to change just randomly created functions in a and wrapped in a module to a class that has these functions as as their member function, and we are able to instantiate an object of that type and use any of these classes that we want. But still, we don't want to ask the user to create an object of type utils. We want to tell them, okay, just type this and this will work for you. What do you suggest? Somebody please unmute and answer. What do you suggest? I don't want this line. If I don't put this line here, this won't work, right? What is UT? I want to solve this problem. I want the user not to do this, but just type UT and use this function. What can we do? Anybody? Any idea? Should I select somebody? We want to discuss, right? So select a random person. Hashmeet? Hashmeet, your name came up. Hey, hello. Exactly. Yeah, that's what we were looking for. Thank you so much. So what we can do is put an extern here in our header file. Say, okay, now extern utils ut, right? And if I do this, sorry, here, great. And if I do this, I don't need to define it anymore. And I can come here and say, okay, hey, I have in this namespace, I have utils ut, and then I will be good to go. There is no need to define this, and ut will be known, and we will use this. Um, some of the It's taken forever. Okay, very good. Some of these now, this is the this was the change that we wanted to make. And if I just bring the correct files and do this for all of them. Let's do this for all of them. So I'm just gonna put all of them here. Put them in the definition of the class. And now what we need to do in utils.cpp is just to add this utils to the beginning of these member function definitions in our utils.cpp file. utils.cpp, utils.cpp, trim to lower. Okay, yes. Okay, now in the main file, let's test these things and the functionalities that we have. Let me just see what I have here. Okay, let's put it here. Okay, we can test them one by one and see what kind of tools we have. Uh, so I have written examples to test each of these functions that we have here. Some of them are good, some of them are, I don't know when you might use it, but they are there. Just some of them, the name shows what it's doing. For instance, to lower is accepting a character and returning its and returning lowercase character. We have strcat here. For this, strcat is basically is concatenating two strings. So here I tried to concatenate this to the first one. So I have a string, and I enter a second string to concatenate those. str2, we have two overloads for the str compare function. Str compare, the first str compare is actually accepting two strings, and what it is doing is, if we come here and look, the first str compare is actually going through the characters one by one in the array, and if the array is not null, if there is something in there, if there is a character and those characters are equal, it just skips. And by the way, it's not a for loop. We understand that, right? This is not a for loop. This is actually, this is in this one, in this for loop, what is happening is just these conditions are being checked, and this I is being incremented, right? Uh, because of the semicolon, it makes it a command, so it is just as long as these three conditions are met, we are incrementing I. And then as soon as we reach to the point that the characters are not the same, then the difference between the ASCII code of those two characters are basically outputted. So in this case, if we look at this example, we will see that, for instance, here I've written my name, and these two strings will be the same up until here, right? Up until these space characters. And then when it comes to this one, which I will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which I will be 6, 6i will result in uh, not meeting that condition because the characters are different. Then the ASCII code of O will be ASCII code of T. Uh, yes, ASCII code of T will be subtracted from the ASCII code of O, and that will be the output. So you may see in this one, you may see negative or positive numbers depending on their ASCII codes. And we have another overload for this str compare that accepting again two strings and then compares them to a specific limit. Like it's now comparing, only doing the same, basically you doing the same thing that the first str compare was doing, but just compare, just going ahead with the number that with the limited with the number that it's entered. So 3 characters will be only compared. Then we have str copy, 2 versions of str copy. Str copy is basically copying the second string to the source string, and we have destination and source. So source is getting copied to the destination. And this one, what is the difference? Str copy. Um, okay, so the difference is it is it is null terminating, right? This one is null terminating. This one is not null terminating. So we will see the difference now if I run the program. We have strn copy. Strn copy is getting what? Is getting strn copy is getting 2 strings and copying to a specific length, and the rest will not be copied. And then we have strlen. It returns the length of a string. We know that. Str is actually, let's see what str is doing. Str is actually uh, finding the string, the second string in the first string. Is alpha, is the space, we know what they mean. Is alpha, is if it is alphabet, it just if it is alphabet, then it checks if it is alphabet, checks if it is a space, trim accepts a string and then trims whatever is not alphabet. And then we have lower str copy. It copies the source string to the destination string, but also makes everything lowercase. And we have read and get int functions. For read, we basically read from an input. I guess we are reading to a limited number of characters from input and write them to the string. And get int is getting an integer, returning also returning an integer, and it also shows a prompt to the user. And we have this get int here, which is doing the same thing, except that it also accepts uh, the the integer reference number. So it basically it accepts the container from the user and says, okay, now give me the container, shows the prompt, asks for what should be inputted in that, what should we put it in that container, and then just puts it in that container. What does it return? It is important to know that now it doesn't return an integer, but it returns the same basically input stream that was here. So if you don't enter anything, the default is cin, and that cin will be outputted. What good does it do? It actually makes possible to cascade things, right? In my example, I have that, and I will show you what good it makes. For instance, here, if you look in this example, um, if it wasn't returning this input stream, if it wasn't returning cin, usually, typically, or whatever that user has inputted. Let's say it's cin. If it wasn't inputting cin, this would be the whole thing, this from here to here would be a problem, and we would receive an error. But it is making this cascading stuff possible. So you first we first created two integers, uh, and one of them is sent here to this, basically using this getInt, the last version of getInt, this overload, and then it gets the number, puts in a, and since the return of this, the whole thing here is equal to cin again here, and since I have uh, I have added uh, I have added IO stream and std namespace here, again this becomes cin insertion to B. So it again is able to accept another number. That's why I've said input two integers. You can input two integers. One of them goes to A, the other one goes to B. So let's see this in action, and we'll answer questions. And this will be the utils. So here, the first one, you see, the first one returns lowercase a. This one concatenates the second string to the first one. This one returns uh, t ASCII code of what? ASCII code of O minus t. So from t to O is 5. T U V from O to T, O P Q R S T. So we have 5 difference in their ASCII codes, and 5 is returned. Here, when we are comparing only 3 of these. By the way, let's do this. And now we can see both. When I am doing this basically here, let's do this. Okay, 3 characters are compared, and since all 3 of them are the same, the difference in the third, the ASCII code of the third character is 0 because they're the same. And we have here the other one is actually str copy, so this gets copied to the the destination one is just an array of 30 characters plus 1, which is null termination. So this name gets copied to destination 1. In the second one, only 3 characters get copied, as you can see. strn copy gets this, puts it here, but since it doesn't null terminate, we can still see what was originally in destination 2. That's why we see these percentage signs. And then we have what is that? TRL length of this string is 20. str has found this OUL and has found this OUL in the first string and has printed the rest. Is alpha returns for this one, is alpha returns 0 because this is not alphabet. Is the space returns 1 because indeed this is a space. We have 1, and trim basically what happens to trim here is it has trimmed the where are we, trim. If you see, this is the this is the array that has been trimmed. So it has been trimmed, and only its alphabet plus a special character space has been kept. So the rest has been trimmed here. Um, and here, this is the trim. This is now lower str copy. So now this source, which has two capital letters, two H's, uh, has been copied here. So I think next time I should write a better example than this, just my name. Sorry about that. Um, but anyways, let's just listen to the concept. It has copied this source to the destination, and the destination is shown all lowercase because it takes care of that. Now, if read, okay, here I have I have defined another string, an empty string, and then this is showing a prompt. The prompt is prompting me to enter your text. Let's enter something. OOP244 NFF second half. And what happens is actually it reads this up to 10 characters. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So OOP space NFF uh, gets into F read, and null termination causes this to basically finish, and this is the result. The next thing is after read. Okay, so I have put something here. If this uh, now look at this input an integer. Now this is this one. This is now we skip this. I just want to I just want to review what cin.ignore means, which is very important. Some people think cin.ignore, if I put it there, it means it will not accept, like, to a, if I put like cin.ignore 3 and new line character more than, it will not accept, not like the user cannot input more than 3 uh, characters, for instance. It's not like that. I have put this to show, to review, because it will see in that ignore is probably the most handy thing that you need to know and you need to have when it comes to working with input basically. So here, now ignore this, and we have here the next line after this. If you ignore this cin, the next line after this cout is this cout working with this getInt function, and in this getInt function we are actually accepting a it just sends out a prompt. It is the prompt and is asking me to enter an integer. Okay, I'm putting an integer. Okay, you entered 23. Life is good. Wonderful, blah, blah. Uh, let's run the last one and we will come back and explain what happens if we don't put this cin.ignore there. Here it says input two integers and press enter after each. So I'm putting 4, enter, I'm putting 6. And because of this cascading thing that we talked, and the fact that in this getInt function, it basically returns, where is it? In the header is here. because of the fact that this getInt is returning an input stream object, which in here we didn't put. I think I didn't put anything. So by default, did I put anything? No, I didn't put anything. So by default, it is cin. So it is returning cin, and because of that cin, the whole stuff from here to here, becomes cin, and I'm able to do this in a cascade fashion, right? I'm able to repeat this and get another integer, put and do this as many times as I want. Well, actually, if I do this in this form, it will be only one. But the second, I could repeat this ut get int here again instead of just putting b. I could repeat ut get int b input integer. This could keep going, and you could repeat it as many times as you want. Okay, let's get a feedback. Um, um, is there any question? Are we good so far? Okay, if we are, then yes, somebody said yes. Who was that? Uh, Sorry, I missed who that yes was. What is the question? Please unmute yourself and ask a question. Somebody said yes, and I missed who said yes. That one person. Misclick. Okay. So what happens? Can somebody explain why do I even put this ignore cin ignore here? What can go wrong if I don't put it here? Can somebody explain this? Well, actually, I have written what happens, but still. If not, let me run this now. Comment it and run this. Now here, it's asking me for an input, and this is my input. See what happened. After I did this, the read function here read 10 of these characters, right? 10 of them, and then it didn't even wait for the prompt, or it didn't even wait for anything from me to input, because remember, getLine was supposed to show me a prompt and ask for an integer. Then I was supposed to input integer, and what happened? Can somebody now explain what went wrong? I just commented out this line and everything is screwed up. Like after this, before this is fine, but after this, none of them worked. What happened to this getInt and what happened to this getInt? Why didn't I receive any prompt? Exactly, Sebastian. Thank you. That's exactly what happened, because uh, when a stream is, it's very important to understand that, as Sebastian explained very well. When you read some of these characters, it's like you're taking them out of your buffer. They're not there yet. Well, what happens to all other garbage characters that I put there? They're still in the buffer. So if they're still in the buffer, so they're still in the queue to come into my program, to come into my input, basically reading mechanism, whatever it is. So they are still in the buffer. As soon as, if I don't flush, if we take this C and ignore 1000 bytes or a new line, whichever one happens first, if I comment it out, the rest of the garbage that I input is still in there, it still exists, and any other function that requires something to be read from the buffer, as is the getInt, right? GetInt is trying to read from the buffer. Uh, the other getInt also reads from the buffer. So whatever function after that, if you don't flush the your buffer, whatever comes after that will definitely read that remaining garbage, and this is what will happen. So this is the importance of cin. So this basically cin ignore is a flush thing. uh, in other languages we have flush as a function, and in flush here is cin ignore. So it flushes the buffer so that no garbage remains there. Okay, great. I will. We are done with utils, and it took a little bit longer than I was expecting. Um, it's great. Now we will be talking about derived classes. I will show you some classes here. We'll talk about those. Is there any questions so far? If yes, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay. All right. Yes, please save them. Now, I'm going to create another project. Where? Here again. Okay. And call it animal. We are going to see a class uh, called animal created here. I was going to complete it, but I think I just have time to copy it from here and just show it to you, because animal by itself is the second important thing that we want to talk about today. What is more important is uh, what will be derived from this. So we will derive another thing from this class. I just want to show you then. Okay, utils CPP animals here and here, header. Where are you? So we have created an animal class. In this animal class, uh, we have in this animal class, if you look at the animal header file, this animal has a parameter name, mname. This is not dynamic. This has a fixed length of 40 characters plus one. Then this animal has a default constructor, and in this default constructor we have Um, by default, if it is not initialized to a value at the time of construction, the name will be no name by default. There is a query as get name is its query to get the name, um, and we have set name. This is a setter basically that sets the name to the name that you want, and it returns an animal reference. It could be void. It could simply be void, but uh, similar to Fardad's style, usually uh, it makes it more useful. So it returns an animal reference, um, and this animal has an act, this animal has a move, this animal has a sound, and this animal has a destructor. Now, if we go to CPP and see how these parts are implemented, we will see the for the constructor, what I have used is actually now in the animal, I am just using my code, reusing my code set name to set the name. Set name. I'm just saying set name. Also, we have this debug mechanism similar to Fardad has in the first half. So we want to be able to track constructions and destructions and things that are happening here. We want to be able to track these. Uh, so if we make debug true, we will see all these basically outputs, and we will be able to track what happened in each line. And then get name simply returns mname. We have set name. It uses the one of the utility functions strcopy with a specific length. Why you need this? Because you want to limit this to 40, because you have not defined this mname a character pointer so that it can be dynamically allocated. Now it's a string of fixed length, 40 characters maximum, so you can read and write to this maximum 40 characters. Then for the act, we just print simple messages. For the act, we say this animal, whatever this is, acts like an animal. For the move, we have it moves like an animal. For the sound, it sounds like an animal, and so on and so forth. And for the destructor, we are not doing anything. We just print this message again, because it is not dynamically allocated, so we don't need it. We don't need to do anything, basically deallocate a memory or do anything like that. So this is our animal class, and let's see what we have in the main. In the main, basically, I have turned on debug to true. Then we have we are creating an animal object, and we are initializing that to a name, call it Fifi, and then we want Fifi to act, move, sound, uh, and then we send this Fifi to another function of ours we have in the main, and this function is just simply showing uh, showing the it's getting a constant animal reference as an input argument, and it is showing the name of that animal and printing this message, and returns the same basically returns the same animal, returns back without touching anything. That's why it's constant animal pointer. Well, this could be const, wouldn't hurt, because we're not changing anything in this function. And then animal B, I'm defining animal B to be equal to A. Since nothing is dynamically allocated, it's perfectly fine. A will be copied in B. Then B will act, B will move, B will sound, and then we will send sorry, we will send B to show the things, and then see out, we print this. Now this is end of my main. Now we will see all those messages during construction and destruction. I'm running this program. Um when we run here, as you see, for the first part, when animal A is being created, it's being initialized to Fifi. We are initializing this using the default constructor of ours we had there, and uh, in our default constructor, this message was supposed to be showed creating. Now it's Fifi, the animal, so that's the exact same message that we see here, creating Fifi, the animal. Here we see the next one. Fifi acts like an animal, uh, which this is the message that was supposed to be shown. Fifi moves like an animal, sounds like an animal, and then showing Fifi the animal. Then now this is B that is being shown here. Fifi acts like an animal again here. Now this is B, not A. But as you see, copying uh, happened with just simple assignment, because we didn't have to overload anything or so, because everything was default. Uh, no dynamic memory allocation, no resources, nothing. Just the compiler understands this, because this is simple, straightforward. Everything compile time, everything goes, everything is good. Then it just copies it there, acts like that, moves like that, sounds like that, shows again, showing Fifi the animal. So these are all B. Now this one deleting again, because there was nothing dynamic. Now at the end of this message, we see before return, and now it is time for the destructors kick in. The first thing that gets destroyed is the last thing that was created. So this is for B and this is for A. Finally, so the last created gets destroyed first. Uh, this is always like that. And these are the things that we see. So this is animal. Animal had act, move, sound, and what else? Show nothing. So these were the things that we had for the animal here. Now we want to derive another class uh, that is one kind of animal. Call it I've called it cat. So if I open this cat cat project here, you will see that now I have a cat. Uh, Let me close this. While I'm doing this, please answer this, Paul, and ask any questions if you have any. Uh, Now I'm gonna call it cat. Create a new one. July 5. Now call it cat. We created the cat, and here in the cat, I'm gonna put all these. Okay, very good. I just need to add these there and add header files. Header files, very good. So now, if you look at cat, this cat of ours um, has been created out of animal. And how we do that, this is the way we do that. We basically remember, uh, inheritance has the benefit of giving you the making it possible for you to use the thing that you had. So I have animal, and I know that cat is a kind of animal. So I know whatever animal has, cat should also have. Uh, but it might have some extra things, right? So I don't want to come in here and repeat everything from scratch, say cat uh, cat moves like this, cat acts like this, cat. No, I do that only if I want to add a new way of acting or doing or something new. If I want to add something new. Otherwise, if I want to use whatever member functions that animal had, I don't even bother writing anything. So that's the beauty and that's the usefulness of inheritance. How do we do that? We do it like this. So we are defining a class. So far we didn't have this part. We were just putting class cat and define everything. But now if we want some class to inherit from another class, uh, we put it this. The syntax is like this. And now compiler understands that cat is an animal and builds the cat on top of the animal. So every time you want to create a cat, first an animal will be created, and on top of that, whatever new features that cat needs to have will be added on top of that. So what new things we wanted this cat to have? For instance, similar example to Faraday's number of lives. You know, cats, they have 10 lives at least. So we have added a new parameter to this class named int. So now cat has two parameters. One of them is number of lives that we added right here. The other one is its parent parameter, which was mname. So cat can have a name as well as it can have a number of lives. And then here in its member functions, cat has its own constructor. That's why you see it here in this constructor. We have the name, even though we didn't write any name here. We were supposed to write, but since since this cat has inherited its name from its parent, when we are when we are this construction is taking place, it it should initialize uh, two two parameters: the parameter that only cat had, and the second one, and the very first one, the basic one that its parent had. And then we have a setter for number of lives. We have cats act, we have cats sound, we have cats play. We don't have move, but because animal had move, cat also has move. So you can say cat dot move and it will work. And if we look at the things we have here for act, sound, and play, we have new ways of, for instance, for play, we have a new message. We have this this person, blah blah, whatever, plays like a cat. And whenever I want to use my parent's features, I put this scope resolution animal, so that I tell the compiler I want my parent thing to come and show. Now, if I run this, this is the last thing we will be able to do today, because quiz will start at 4 in 3 minutes. And if I just from here, if I open cat in action, what happens is we have created, what I have done is I have created a cat named Garfield with 9 lives. It calls the base. It calls the its cat's constructor, and because it's also an animal, first a no-name animal is getting created, and then a cat, and then it acts like a cat for the move, because cat doesn't have a move. um, without any extra thing, compiler just goes to the parent, takes parent's move and puts it there. So it moves in. When it comes to move, it moves like an animal and plays like a cat and sounds like an animal. And then cat gets the last created cat gets destructed, and then animal gets destructed. uh, this is all we could cover for today. Um, on Thursday, we will cover the whole thing. We will have more time to cover all the things. At 4, your quiz will start. Please do your quiz, and I will be here if you have any questions. You can only attempt quiz from 5, from 4 to 4.5. If you have any questions, I'm here.